Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
As unbelievable as it sounds, this is another Arsenal podcast, that is the Away Gunners podcast. We bring news and reaction from Arsenal fans from all over the world. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Away Gunners podcast. Hi, guys. Do you know what time it is? It is time to
It's
party.
party time.
Yes, we've got our man at last. I never expected we will get party. For sure, I was thinking like, okay, this is going to be one of those windows where we are not going to get anything. But at the end, Arsenal did it. They signed Partey. So, quick reaction on Partey before we could come back to talking about Partey in detail more, but like quick reactions before we go away to discuss about the match. Ellen?
It was like out of the blue, on the last day, and that too, if you see, right, like it was very close to the deadline of Spanish time. See, UK had till like 11 p.m., but Spanish had, I think, like 6 p.m. Their local time only. So it was very close. And what I liked it most was like we didn't give a chance for Atletico Madrid like to sign a replacement. Like we just went directly and like talked, and they got it from the Spanish La Liga board, that we have triggered the release clause. That was like kind of a statement from us. See, if you see last few years, right, Arsenal are doing some change in the say take Koscielny's transfer. We were like demanding the money. Like we were like say we are ready to not send a player out. Like we're ready to release a player on a free transfer rather than getting the money we want. So that's kind of a statement from us.
Yeah. Arun, it was like a soap opera, right? We were going on, is it going to happen? And then, it's happening. And then, yay, it happened. So
So the thing is, every week we've always been discussing, is it either going to be our or Party? And I think even till Friday, when the door was completely and firmly shut on our face by Lyon, we were very sure that we were going to get out, Party was not in the picture at all. Party was definitely not in the picture as far as I know. The thing is, the way we landed him on the last day, and the way in which we made sure that, they did not have any time to sign a replacement, though it destroyed basically the relationship with Atletico, I really don't give a fuck at this point because of the fact that we got our man. We got someone who can be a part of the team for at least the next 2 to 3 years, and boss that midfield at least for the next 2 to 3 years. The kind of signing that we've been crying out since the likes of Gilberto and Vieira left us. I think since then we've not had a proper midfielder to boss that midfield, not just play, not just be a person who stays there, but someone who bosses that midfield. There have been guys who have stayed there, but none of them have been able to boss that midfield. Now we have someone who can boss that midfield. So this is going to be a huge step in the direction that the club is taking in whatever like Arteta is trying to do. It kind of reinforces the belief amongst the players and amongst the fans, and shows how much the upper management are actually ready to back him. Though we did not get both our targets, the very fact that we at least got one is a huge thing for me, considering our finances and the way in which our business operates. Normally, like Ellen said, this would have ended as a window without anybody coming to help us with the real positions where we really need help. But this one, man, inspiring, very inspiring.
yes.
I'm psyched, man. I'm very psyched.
So, Arun was touching on the finances. So we had to let go of our Gunnasauras to get Partey. That's the ultimate sacrifice. What do you say, Bob?
That was indeed a very sad thing amongst all the jubilant things which has happened over the transfer window, isn't it? The guy, Jerry Quay, he's been there with the club for almost 27 years, and having to let him go. I mean, I understand the decision. There are not going to be any crowds coming or anyone going to be visiting the Emirates very soon. But, for him to leave the club or for the club to ask him to, move on from Arsenal is quite a massive thing. And we lacked a bit of class, that I would say, because
I feel as part of the fabric of the club, we have to be supporting the local people and the people who've been associated with the club for a long time. It's indeed a very sad thing that has happened to us. I'm not sure if, in case there is an arrangement in place for him to be back once the normalcy returns. I probably don't think so, but I'm just hoping that they have a change of mind, and then they have some heart in trying to bring these guys, because people could come and go. It is the trust that we gain, or what we actually stand for, makes the difference between us and others. And personally, to me, I felt very sad and ashamed that this has happened to the club that I support and the club that I'm being a part of.
Arun, go ahead.
Yeah, like Bob said, it definitely wasn't classy. I mean, for me, the really sad point was this was not a glamorous job if you think about it. No one sees your face, no one knows your name, like outside of the club. If this hadn't come out, we wouldn't have known the guy was called Jeremy Key for all you know. So the very fact that this guy for 27 hard years, 27 years, those are unforgiving years, he's been inside that mascot week in, week out for 19 Premier League weeks, for all those Champions League, FA Cups games, everything in there. And finally, the reward that he gets is being sacked. It 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 kind of undermines his love for the club. Like if you do not really love the club, you won't be sitting inside a costume. It's standing inside a costume. It's somewhat like not. None of the other mascots have been like sacked. So it's for me, it as much as I'm like psyched about Party, it really like deeply saddens me to see one of the most loyal servants of the club, who's guy who worked for us longer than Wenger, like being sacked like so unceremoniously. So I find it's really dark. I find it's really dark what they've done there.
Is it sacking though? For me, I feel like it's more like a redundancy. The word is like is different, right? Redundancy is when you don't have a
Mascots
job.
cannot become redundant. That's the thing. Whatever you might call it, mascots are not redundant. They represent your club. You're
Yeah,
not
but
supposed to.
but the job is to be on the pitch, right? And right now he cannot be on the pitch for various reasons. Not
No,
just
but
that,
like
not just because of the crowd, but I also feel that because of the COVID restrictions, are you supposed to wear the costume? Like, can you be
Um,
inside the costume? Yeah,
Sorry,
Bob.
no, but
I have a different take here. There's so much of alternate arrangements being made by employers to their employees, like furlough, for instance. You could probably replace them in another department, or, at least give them a sort of a notice that, once the normalcy returns, you could be back and then, reclaim your position, because obviously Gunnasauras is not going to go anywhere. It's obviously going to be there with the club, and then it is going to be there when the matches resume at our stadium, for it to come around and then have a few clicks with others. I've clicked myself with Gunnasauras when I was there at the Emirates. Although I was just there for only a very, very short time, it feels almost as if like Gunnasauras is there as part of the team. It's there. It does kickabouts with the children there. Children has a massive connect with the Gunnasauras. If you happen to go there, or if you happen to read through the things with Emirates,
And that's
and I
actually one
think,
of the points my wife brought up too. Like the kids, he's kept the kids happy, and you're letting that guy go. I
yeah,
really
you
don't
could
know.
you could
just to
replace that with a different person, but I think it's definitely not classy. You could say, oh, we've been trying to cut costs and all those sort of things, but at what cost? So these are things which I probably feel you should not be you should not really even look into, because if you stoop down to that level, it doesn't really reflect what kind of a club you are in supporting the community and its people, especially when it comes to such pandemic situations where you need to support the community the most. I definitely feel it's not something which I'm proud to be a part of. I feel unfortunate that it has happened to the same club that I really support and love, or the same club that I actually had most of my values built upon. For instance, I built up a lot of things in my life based on the way that Wenger used to look at things and the way that the club used to approach things, stability, confidence, and then the way that we used to trust our youngsters, it's probably not there now. I feel
just
I
to
feel
add,
utterly disappointed.
Yeah,
just
go
to
ahead.
add few things here. See, this person was doing this for 27 years. Like, see, when the club was going down, people were not ready to come to grounds. Like, Gunnasauras played a big role to make more people to come. See, when he started, there were many kids. Those kids are like adults now, and they are followers of Arsenal. And Gunnasauras played a big role there. It's not something like it is just like a mascot. Like Gunnasauras as a person, right? Like he has made sure many people follow Arsenal. Many kids like start loving Arsenal, and like a big like effort was from him also to make the club to go to a next stage. So it's not somebody like they have fired. See, they could have just given him like 1 year sabbatical for him, saying that like 1 year we will not be allowing because there is no crowd, and like you can come back later and join us. Like they could have done various options. But luckily, like I saw in Twitter today, there is a drive happening, collection drive happening to bring Gunnasauras back, like donation drive, which is happening. And if you see on the deadline day, right, like it started with bring back Gunnasauras, and it finally ended with its Partey time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, like even how the fans are relating. Yes, Partey signing is big, but like losing out Gunnasauras completely, like once Partey signed, was not good also.
Yeah, Arun, final words on it.
Yeah, just final words on it. Just to give you a brief idea of how Gunnasauras came into being, it was one of the kids' drawing that was actually taken by the club to create the mascot, and you let that guy go. You're burning bridges, you know. It's like when the more I think about it, the sadder I get. So it's not classy, man. Like Bob said, it's definitely not classy. I don't think we're a club who should be like doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like I never expected it to be this sad start to the spot, but it is. Hopefully, we'll get Gunnasauras back, and hopefully like once the crowd comes back, everything resumes back to the normal, or what we like about Arsenal gets back to being there. So moving on, let's talk about the game last week. I mean, seemed like a long time ago now, after the deadline day miracle. So we won against Sheffield United. I will raise my hand up and say I was hoping for a more swashbuckling 4-0 victory, but yeah, at the end, 3 points. Yeah, I'll take it. 2-1 victory, which was good. Um, One of the most boring first half performances ever. I think so, because it was so slow. We were not making any inroads, and I mean, what was the whole tactics behind the start, Bob?
See, what Sheffield United win showed us that our team is still work in progress, very much work in progress. It's not even 60% there yet. There's Partey definitely solves a lot of these issues, but what we felt, I mean, you don't need to delve into a lot of stats, but one thing stands out right at the top is the chances that or the shots that we tried to score against Sheffield United was 6 shots at home. It is not definitely a statistic to look out, you know, in a brighter way, because it showed that we are lacking creativity in the midfield, or you know, in the final third. Thankfully, we got some very good goals. You know, I mean, we took the opportunity and we seized opportunity right to it. And scoring 2 was actually the best thing to happen on that game. If not for that, we would have probably been dragged to a draw, or even go on to lose. I don't know, probably. But yeah, I think a win is a win, definitely. And then you could argue that we've got the 3 points. That is all that it gives out. But it showed a lot of weak links in our side. You know, possibly that we've still not got completely adapted. There are a lot of positive signs to it. But yeah, we've not reached the heights yet. I mean, it's very well known. I'm not telling anything which is surprising to many, but you should not be expecting miracles from the coach, because he's just confined to the players that he has, and he is trying his utmost best to try and bring out the best of each one of them. And we could see that in the results. But yeah, I think it's a work in progress.
Okay, we shouldn't be expecting a miracles, but I for one thought that there was a miracle where David Luiz didn't get a red card for the shirt
yeah.
tug that he did. So
That
Ellen,
must be the miracle.
do you think that's a red card right there, like what David Luiz did? Like it would have,
Definitely, like
it would have been a start to the new season of David Luiz where he gets another 5
yes,
red card.
no, definitely, it's a red card, but like it is more like say if you take the recent VAR things, right, like the offside rule going by like millimeter, or like the penalty like handballs now what we are having, it is something similar to that. Like see, definitely Leno would have saved that. Like it's not like last
Are
man
you
or
sure?
something like.
Are
Yes,
you
yes, yes,
sure?
yes.
Leno was off his
Definitely.
line.
No,
Okay.
that I'm sure. See, I'm not saying it was not like a typical last man thing where the other striker would have definitely scored a goal. But like by the rules book, it is definitely red. So that was a lucky escape for us. Like similar to how like we were against like Mane last week, this week we got lucky.
But then there was also this tackle on Auba, if you remember, which I thought was red because the similar tackle Auba did last year and he got a red for it, right?
Yeah, to add to that, right? Like I think the referee gave yellow for that. Like if the referee hasn't given an yellow, right? Like I think VAR can suggest a red for that. But since the referee has seen it and like he has given an yellow, and it was like not a clear-cut decision, like to say red. Like see, it is definitely a red from my opinion too. But it can be given as yellow by referee also. So VAR didn't like overturn. That's what I felt there. But like if
It is
referee hadn't given
also
that yellow, like VAR would have definitely given a red to him.
it is also confusing with VAR, right? For me, the rules are too fluid. It is more on an opinion than a rule for VAR to get involved in or the decisions that VAR takes. Actually, there was a interesting article in I think Athletic or I don't know where, but they were mentioning about VAR where if VAR asks some referees to go and check the screen, the results are more likely to be overturned. There has not been any situation where a referee is asked to go and check the screen, VAR screen, and the result was upheld. Referee makes a decision and it is upheld. No, it has always been overturned. Does that mean that uh, it gives an opinion more than being a factual one? VAR is always confusing for me. But Arun, to get back from that to the midfield, what was the formation first, right? El Nene was playing RB at times or right centre back at times, and we had Saka playing number 10, Willian playing number 10. Was there a formation that was there, or we were so fluid?
We supposedly started with three at the back, and if you call confusion fluidity, yeah, let's go with that. It was fluid because it was a bit chaotic in the middle, like you said. For the entire of the first half, it felt like there was no cohesion. Nothing was going right. The players were just like it was more of a game of like stay in your position or like don't stay in your position. Just run around. It didn't seem like there was any purpose to any of the things that we were actually doing in the first half. Like Bob said, I was really thinking this was going to be one of those games where we get like beaten at the end. Like we lose at the end, we don't score anything, we don't do anything, and like they score like a free goal, and we end up losing the 3 points. Honestly, that was my thought seeing the first half because, like I said, it started with that great Lewis pull, but my heart was in my mouth for a moment. I was like, "Fuck, come on, man! It's just the beginning of the season. Don't start your account yet." So from then on, like all the things that happened, it didn't really seem like the players it seemed like the coach had a plan, but the players didn't seem to be following it. Nothing was going on. Only in the second half, after all the introductions, after Pepe came in, there was more directness in the play. And Pepe, my man, I've been telling you guys, it's gonna be his season. It's gonna be his season. And see that you guys saw that goal. The way in which he scored that goal, man, that's what he brings to the team.
But that's another thing that I wanted to ask you, right? Pepe, remember the last game, which is the Carabao Cup, I guess, where he was played at the left instead of the usual right spot. Is this like Arteta trying to kind of shake him up a little bit before he gets back to his own position, like give him a different perspective. I think something similar was done with like Saka, where he was moved to the right to give like the perspective of what happens to the other end. So yeah, hopefully he gets it, but it's just one performance. But I mean, I get it, Pepe.
It's one performance that builds up, gives him the confidence to go on and do more things in the future. You know, you might just discount it as a Sheffield game, one performance in the second half. But to score the kind of goals that you need, that he did, you really need quality, man. Like not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can go on and score those goals. I don't want to take names, but I can like easily name you 10 people who are playing in the top flight right now who would struggle to score a goal like that. You know, so like you said, maybe he put him on the left to give him a new perspective, to shake things up a bit, to see like the overall nature of the game and the pitch, what's going on. Because if you notice, Pepe, when he comes from the right, he has a very one-dimensional game. It works out, it doesn't work out. But that one-dimensional game is the X factor that is going to get the goals or the assists. Now, he doesn't think as much as Arteta would like him to think. Maybe putting him on the left is just to give him like, an entire view. You miss the ball from the right, this is what happens on the left. So you need to be more disciplined on the right from now on for us to be able to have a cohesive attack. Man, it seemed to have worked, Yeah, I would love to see him do more of the same in the coming games.
Yeah, and I also think that the system was changed to suit him. Like when El Nene dropped back to right back and Hector Bellerin was pushed a little bit up than usual, the system was designed in this game especially for us to explore on the right. Both the assists was awarded to Hector Bellerin, but I don't think the second one was his assist. It was Pepe's own solo goal. But he did get the 2 assists. And if you can remember, for the first goal, it was Elneny's run from deep right back position to the box that creates the goal. Bob, your take.
Oh man, I just wanted to lift my hand up at this point to sing some praises on El Neni, because he is working his ass.
Arun's cheering, which means it's good. He has done good.
Honestly, guys, if you look at the way El Neni, he's been a very quiet performer in our team. Even the fact that he had his shirt number taken off. And then he has come back into the team. He has never complained on anything. He's just carrying on with the game, and then he is doing the game, do the talking. And the first for the first goal, especially the run that he did was amazing, isn't it? And then the pass that he probably did to Bellerin, that was actually the turning point. His run was very, very intelligent. I was just following his movement there and how he was able to throw himself in and then do a surprise there, and then mix up with the rest of the attackers and then create the goal. That was simply amazing. And he was as well spot on in tracking back to the right, often, as you mentioned, going back as a right back almost, in supporting the defense. That was really commendable, and that's something which you would expect in a midfielder, to often cover up games when the wing backs are actually moving up to an attacking position. Exactly. And he did tremendously well. I know Gabriel was actually the man of the match, but I would actually put El Neni right behind him because of the work rate that which he did against Sheffield. It was truly it was something which was reminiscent of how Ramsey would do. Probably Ramsey would be everywhere across the pitch, even as a goalkeeper. But it's something El Nene was doing. He was quite disciplined in what positions he should be sticking into, but as well fluid in attack and as well as in defense.
I have never. For me, the point is, I've never seen El Neni put in a very bad performance. He's always an average performer.
So far.
Yeah, he's always an average performer. He'll give us 6 to 7 every game. Not something flashy, not something that's going to change the game.
7 is a lot, man. 7 is a lot. Let him get to 7. 7 is a lot. He gives a 5 to 6 every
yeah, game. But so the praise was well deserved. But also there was, as Bob mentioned, I want to touch on Gabriel. Ellen, how impressed are you with Gabriel, or are you still thinking, it's still early days?
No. Gabriel was like really good that day. He was more like a leader, to be honest. And
Yeah.
see, if you take that game, right, like I want to add one more thing with El Nini, like where I'm going to praise Gabriel too. If you see, right, like last few games, all our attacks were on the left side. Bellerin was playing little bit back, Tenny was going up and down. And like, see, very soon, right, that will be like tracked by every team and like they will shut down our left side. So I felt Arteta tried something different in this match. Like, how many matches have you seen Xhaka not starting for us when he's fit?
Yeah,
This was one example.
That was a statement.
Yeah,
Yes.
El Nini started for us. And the reason, like, if you see, right, like as you rightly said at the beginning, he was like everywhere at right back or right center back and everywhere, and you could see Bellerin moving a lot. But that was also the downfall in the first half, like where like we were like really struggling to create any chances or anything because our focus, El Nini was like completely going back. He was not at all moving forward. And if you see after half time, right, we shifted to sort of a back four, and El Nini started moving like a lot more forward. And that's when like all these substitutes are like Billion coming into center, everything helped for us, and like we got those 2 goals. See, from an offensive purpose, right? Like I've seen many teams which easily like goes into a fluid way of like going into a like back without a striker with a false nine, everybody roaming. I've seen many teams trying that, but what we are trying to do that in, like we are trying to do that in the defense also, like more player like switching places and everything, and it's very difficult for a defender to adapt to that. And Gabriel, right, like in very short like period, he has not only adapted that, he's more like a leader kind of thing. Like he's trying to like say something happens, he's trying to be the person who's trying to fix it. He's like
he's really quick. I was impressed with his speed. Most of the time he just tracks back the player. When every other defender stands off, he's the one who's running across the pitch, tracking back. And the one other thing that I wanted to bring about Gabriel is he's very good in the air. He gets a lot of clearances out, and his passing is really precise. Very impressed. I'm actually thinking that this is going to be a good signing for us.
More above everything, comparing to his much elder compatriot. He very composed, that you have to say. He's very calm, as you can see.
You're setting the bar pretty low there.
That's true. Yeah, the bar is pretty low for him to.
But it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal. The bar is always pretty low when it comes to defenders.
No, speaking about the bar of like levels, right? Like it was a surprise for me to see a goal scored from a Bellerin cross. That with an header. Like what was like? I was thinking today is like a big day for sure. We didn't get Louis red card, and we are getting.
Actually, Hector played a really good game for me. I thought he was really good. Even his passing was clear. His runs behind was good. I thought like this is one of the best game that Hector played in like recent past. And we actually had a lot of good players, like good performances on the day. Speaking about Gabriel, Arun, you can take your foot off your mouth and chime in about because you were the one who was questioning about Gabriel all the time. So go ahead.
I was. Honestly, the guy is continuing to impress me. Like with each passing game. I still have a little bit of doubt, but I think having that doubt is actually good as a fan. You cannot just like big up your player all the time. We haven't really
continuous man of the matches.
Yes, he is. Like I said,
still you have doubt. What else has he to do to convince you?
I'm not saying like he hasn't convinced me. He has. Yes, he's probably the best center back that we've had in a long time. In the last 10 years, I think his start has been like better than even I would say Koscielny, Mertesacker, and all of these guys. The facets of his game, the things that he brings onto the pitch, the pace, the positioning, the awareness, and he's super good in the air. And like I said, his physical presence for a guy of that size to be able to be that fast is a huge advantage given the system that we play, Mm-hmm. So yes, all this is good. I am like more convinced about him now. Like you said, you're right. I have to take my foot out of my mouth. He's made me do that so far, but I would still really rate him at the same level as like the top center backs once he plays against the likes of Vardy or Aguero, he has to still be tested. If you notice, the last game against Liverpool, Arteta did not play him. For reasons best known to him, he was not played. And we were facing guys like Salah, Firmino, and Mane, probably the best trio in the league at the top. So these are the kind of games that I would actually like to see him tested, like to really prove his mettle and show that he's actually like at the point of being called like one of the best in the business right now. But given the system that we play, if you notice the system that we play, since we did not have creative midfielders, all of our creativity was actually provided by our fullbacks coming into the pitch in the midfield. They were not playing as regular fullbacks, they were playing as inverted fullbacks. In this situation, if your defensive midfielder who's supposed to screen is not really good and is at El Nini's level, no offense to El Nini, but we know what kind of a player he is, what he can do every week. If he's at that level, it puts a lot of pressure on your centre backs. Way more pressure on your centre backs than it normally should. Plus, Leno is not a good player of the ball out from the back. Given all this, given the system that we're playing, the performance that Gabriel has put up is very commendable. I would definitely say that, given all the pressure that he has, he's done a great job. But like I said, I would really love to see him go against like all these top class guys. Because the guys from Sheffield United are not the same as City's Aguero or Leicester's Vardy. Same with West Ham, same with Fulham. So yes, he's been amazing, but I would still like to see him tested against like the top players.
This sounds like a clap with a nod in the face. Like you're like clapping as well as like maybe.
Yeah, I am wary. I'm wary because we've had a lot of false dawns with respect to centre backs. We had a similar named guy coming to us a few seasons back from Spain. Supposed to be like, the next big thing.
He went back and he was good. So maybe
Yes,
we
he
didn't
went
know how
back
to
and-
use it.
Or he was probably more suited for the La Liga than the physicality of the Premier League. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. Maybe Gabriel, because of his physical presence and pace and the lack of quality strikers that he's faced so far, I'm not saying that is making him look good, but that has made things easy for him so far. Let's see how he fares against like a real quality opposition. I'm not saying I'm not impressed, but I would love to see that, before I take a decision.
Okay. But also we got to talk about our other best player, who's Saka. This kid has been amazing. He can create, he can score, he can do anything. For freaking sake, he hit a header. I mean, I never expected that from him. He's a kid, but that header was really good. And also all our creative play, even though Willian kind of came in at number 10 and played all those roles, I still think all our creative play came out of Saka.
Wait, William played number 10 role, really?
He kind of dropped in the second half. Like
he tried.
He tried. Yeah, that's the word. But Saka was our actual creative force. So, Bob, your words on the kid. Any praise you have, or you're still wary of him?
No, of course, I'm very happy with his progress, and quite rightly so that he's been called upon by England, and I think which really shows how much he has actually grown in the game and how much Southgate really values him. He's definitely there, budding to be one of the best youngsters around in the game. Not quite there up to the levels of what Sancho has reached with Borussia Dortmund, but I think he's quite living up to all the hype, which the Arsenal fans have been raving about. But I think we have to be utmost careful, like how we've spoken about in the last few parts. We have to just keep him wrapped up in cotton wool, just to make sure that we protect him, and then we give him the right time, as well as don't overuse him. I hope he's got a lot of games to prove. I mean, it was quite surprising for me to realize that he scored his first goal at the Emirates yesterday. Which was completely surprising, because I thought probably he would have actually passed that milestone a long time ago, but it quite so happened that he scored his first goal there. It was a wonderful goal, which actually started out at the back and then built up all the way along, and then for him to finish it was just a cherry on the top of the cake. And the other people, or the other strikers who are actually in that area, Aubameyang and then El Neni, or everyone was quite delighted to see that kid score the goal. So which showed that how much they love him as a player, at least on the looks of things. But yeah, I think it's just very early days. We hope to see him progress more, and then we as well reward him with more trophies and all those sort of things that we win by playing along with the kid, and then with us together. So that's the sort of reward that we should be giving to these youngsters for them to make them stay further along.
Talking about the first goal, Auba's touch was so important in that. He played that ball out to Hector, yeah, before it is being pinged in. But Auba hasn't scored in some time. Ellen, is this a goal drought? Is Auba not playing well? Is this a course of concern? When he signed, after that he hasn't played well. Is this going to be another situation where we are seeing a person decline after signing a bumper deal? You know who I mean? Ozil. Ozil.
Yeah. No, not exactly. Like to come to Ozil's level, right? He has to be like this for an entire season at least. That much like was the level Ozil has set it up at the now. But like I feel like Auba, right? Like see, it's again like if you see after that, right? Like there were 3 games. If you see, right, was against West Ham, Sheffield, and as well as like Liverpool. They are tough games. Like, see, we can say after the very first game, West Ham was an easier one. But if you've seen after our game, right, West Ham have defeated 2 big teams. And that too with comfortable goal margins. Like the last time Leicester was like 4-0. Like that kind of level they've said. So it is not like, say, there will be like periods where like your striker might not score goal. But like Auba is actually like, say, as you said in the first goal, he had an important touch. Like he is like trying his best also. So we cannot blame him much. And if you see, right, like in the second half, like we tried to play Auba center too. We are like trying to make things different for him also. We are challenging him also. He's comfortable at left, but we are challenging him to play at center so that like we go to a back four. So we are trying a lot of things also. So maybe like Auba is doing something different in training that is affecting his actual output also. Could be like a coincidence, but like I feel like it is too early to say it's a goal drought or saying like Auba is at Ozil's level.
Okay, that's good to hear. But talking about other games, even felt better than like us winning 3 points is United and Liverpool doing those games. So we need to talk about that. Even though we hate Spurs, we love seeing them put 6 past United. Bob, I'll come to you because you are the one who have always complained about us being on the wrong side of the score lines. Seeing United thrash to 6 and seeing Liverpool thrash to 7, how does that make you feel?
It feels quite good to rub it in amongst many of my friends that I have in the opposite camps. But what I felt is, I mean, you could have a bit of a cake for a day, but too much cake is quite injurious to you. And I had both the United and then the Liverpool results both to enjoy on the same day, which I didn't quite feel right about. Probably could have enjoyed them on 2 separate occasions to have a proper plan. But that's football, isn't it? I mean, I was just looking at the Liverpool result there. I mean, I was watching the game as such, and then one thing that I really felt about this team is we could have possibly faced this team and we could have come back with 3 points there, definitely, because there were 2 people who definitely did make a difference there in the team, were Sadio Mane and Alisson. And for both of them not to be there, we might not know, Lacazette could have actually come back with a goal or a brace, or even go on to have scored an hat-trick in those one-on-one situations that he was in the other day. So, I mean, Liverpool decide.
Sorry to cut you off there, Bob. The thing is, if you notice all the 7 goals, I think there was only 1 goal that was really Adrian's mistake. 3 of them were deflections.
There were 3 misses, which was Adrian's mistake, which didn't go in. Open goals missed by Grealish. Yeah.
Arun, if you see last year also, right, when Adrian was like playing due to Alisson's injury, Liverpool were like really down at that time also, like or like they were really struggling at the defensive thing. Allison is like a big difference, even though they have
Yes,
like
yes, no doubt,
VVD.
no doubt, no doubt. But
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying, like like I don't know if Adrian being there would have made a difference to Laka's miss. That's all I'm thinking, because of the way in which he hit the goal.
Oh yeah, no, of course. See, but one goal could have actually changed the entire course of the game, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
So
would have. It would have. I agree.
if like I said, actually had, I mean, if you imagine if he was there in the same one-on-one situation, and then if he had actually gone on to score that, I don't think Adrian is nowhere compatible to how Allison is in terms of his shot-stopping abilities. But so if they had gone on to score, then probably we could have had a different result. We didn't. I mean, they badly missed Mane that day.
True.
There was absolutely, I don't know how could they completely switch up themselves. It was I remember a long time back when we used to continuously keep winning matches, and one fine day at home we got completely switched off against West Bromwich Albion, and then we got mauled 3-0 at home. It was completely, the whole press and everyone, including the manager, everyone was quite shocked, because it was like that. It was like suddenly the team got switched off, and then the opposition had a free run. So that was one of those games. Now coming to the United Tottenham game, even when it was 11 against 11, Tottenham were all over United. I think for the very first time, I probably shouldn't say it. I saw the old Jose Mourinho of Inter and Porto days, where he could actually tactically decimate the players. I mean, I should actually go on to use a mouthwash after this to wash my mouth for mentioning this. But really, Jose Mourinho, I saw the old Jose Mourinho of tactically trying to bully the opposition, and then specific gameplay to hurt the opposition. And he went to United with a very, very proper plan. I mean, it was made easier by that stupid red card which Martial got. I don't even know how that warranted a red card, and even if it was, I thought probably Lamela was equally at fault. He should have as well got a red card. But that's football, and you just have to take whatever that comes in. I mean, Martial didn't even go on to complain to the referee about Lamela. But yeah, Tottenham, I can't quite enjoy their victory, but at the same time you have to see how good they are together as a unit, or what Jose is putting through. I just hope so that I mean, they go off form and then they go off the tracks, because
I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't that impressed with Tottenham. Like for me, the whole point was United defense was shit. Especially that guy Maguire was shit. I was hoping.
I think that needless to be said.
I was hoping that we could have sold like Socrates or someone to United, saying, "Oh, you got a defender problem. We have the perfect fix for you. Here, 40 million. Take Socrates off our hands." What do you think, Ellen?
Oh yeah, they've signed a defender now, isn't it? On the
4 million. I'd be happy with 4 million.
Left back.
Yeah, they've signed an Edison Cavani, so he's going to defend the corners and takes off the pressure off from Lindelof and Maguire. So that's definitely a step forward in United's direction, isn't it? I mean, so our fans are very fickle-minded. If we don't sign anyone, they keep cursing the club, and then they keep saying Kroenke is out and all those sort of things. So imagine if you are a United fan at this point in time, where else would you have to go to? So I mean, it's quite laughable the way that United is actually doing the business. And they are themselves, weakening the team all over. They don't really know. It's been managed by a person who doesn't have much knowledge on football, and it's actually it's being reflective in the transfer market. None of the targets that they went for really were successful, which is good for us like rivals. So and it's been headed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who doesn't really have much idea in terms of what he's doing or what he should be doing. He's just been working on the merits that he had said during his playing time there at United. So it's all good news for us at Arsenal. I'm finally happy that they're actually struggling. I can't rub it in further.
Ellen,
Uh,
come on, go
Yeah,
ahead.
just to add a few things. No, just to add a few things, like the United match, right? It started with a penalty for United. I thought, okay, another United game this is going to be, but then it got completely changed. Two things like that strike me after seeing that match. One, like again, please, like I don't think like I will speak about this like in the future. Like I also have to go and do something after I speak this. One is right. It reminded me of that Chelsea match, like where Wenger played his like 1000th match.
Oh
If you
no.
remember, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
it reminded me because like Mourinho came with a clear intention that like he has to win that at all costs. Similar way, right? He wanted to get back to like United for what they did to him, like when he was a manager there, like the fans, everybody. He wanted to do against it. So it was more like a vengeance from his side. And if you see this year, right, is like targeting all his old clubs, like Chelsea. Like you see, he was coaching Lampard, like saying when your team is doing good, like you can sit back, but when they are playing bad, you have to be at the touchline. Lampard was doing the opposite, and like he was like pointing it out, and like he was saying about like the penalties which United was getting. Like so, he's on a mission this year, like to target to be above his old clubs like Chelsea or United. I think that's not good for us because that has made him more focused and like he's doing some good signings as well as like some good offensive play. See, with Mourinho saying offensive play is like complete opposite word, but that is what is happening in Tottenham if you see recently. I don't want to speak like this, but that is what I'm seeing with Tottenham Hotspur this year.
He's got players at his disposal, Ellen. So if he's got Son
Yes.
there and Kane, who are magnificent when it comes to this counter-attacking play, and he can perfectly use their pace to score some
Use
crucial
it.
goals. Yeah, and
I
as much
hope
as I hate to
the
say,
Bale is Ozil Bale and not like the old Tottenham Hotspur Bale.
he can never be. I don't think he could never go on to achieve the heights that he was once. I mean, once he was before he got moved to Madrid. So that would be something which is really. I don't think you can even go on to see that now.
Because the Son, Kane, Bale front three is like scary. I don't want them to win.
There's too much Spurs praising in this podcast today. Arun, what do you think of Tottenham?
Honestly, that game, like I didn't start
Come
watching
on,
it
you
till
gotta
like I
start
think
with like
the
when I
Spurs.
say you gotta start with when I say what do you think of Tottenham? You have to answer with shit.
Shit.
Okay,
What do
go
you think
ahead.
of shit?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, I started watching it pretty like I didn't start watching it right from the beginning. Like Ellen said, when I did start watching, I saw that they had actually got a penalty first. United got a penalty first. Now everyone is bigging Mourinho up, but I really don't think it's very difficult to beat this United team
Oh
like
yeah,
by a
true,
big margin
true.
when. So everybody, I really don't see the point because it's the same team. Kane and Son have been playing together for a while. Their game is dependent on counter attack, and the guys were just doing what they have been doing for all this while. So there was I didn't see any difference in what Tottenham were doing. It just made things easier for them because of the Martial red card. And like Bob said, I don't know why it was a red card, and I don't know why Lamela didn't get one. So at that point, when you're down to 10 men, Mourinho just saw that, like, we're talking about Mourinho against a guy whose best managerial experience was like managing a team in the Norwegian league, So it's not let's not take class. Let's not take just think about the experience. Just think about the experience. Here's a guy who's like struggling to sort things out, is not being backed by the managers, is not getting anything for him going. And then you're putting him against a guy who's like hungry for success, who's had like a bad stint at the same club. He was unceremoniously kicked out of the club. It just made things very easy for him to take revenge, if you would call it, because of the way in which United played. I would say, like the team United, they have. I've always said this. They have the potential. They have the potential. A few signings
Do
here and
they
there.
really? Do they really?
The players.
Apart from Pogba and Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, maybe. I don't see them having Bissaka, maybe in offensive, but I don't see them having a really good team. It's not
No,
an
honestly,
all-round team.
there you said it. There you said it, Picasso. They have at least 5 or 6 players who are good enough in the team. A team which has 5 to 6 players who are good enough means that you've got the spine right.
No, that's the problem, right? They don't have the
No, that's
spine.
the thing. But
They have
the main
good
part of the
players.
spine is a centre back who's shit.
Yeah,
That's the biggest
and
problem right now.
And David De Gea has been worse in the past couple of seasons. He's
Yes,
not the
but all the
old De
goals
Gea.
that went in, you put another keeper in there, they would have still scored the goals.
Yeah, but the
You know
keeper
what I
is
mean?
not just to stop the play, right? He is not vocal enough. He's not commanding enough anymore. He's not organizing his defense anymore. De Gea has been bad. The
He
defense
never
has been
was the
bad.
kind of if you think about De Gea again, he never was the kind of player who was, too vocal about the defense. He was very inspiring. He was very inspirational in the sense that he would stop anything that was trying to go into the net.
Yeah, because
That
but because United always had good defenders. Rio Ferdinand,
yes,
Vidic, they always had good defenders. For me, the only
No,
point
but
was like the point was for me was the defense is bad. De Gea has been bad, and they shouldn't have sold Smalling. They should have
Guys,
kept him.
no.
why would we even care? Come on, man.
That's
that's
true.
true. That's true. Why would we even care? But my point is, I don't think it was a Mourinho masterclass. You know what I mean? It was definitely not a Mourinho. It was just too easy for him. I found with 10 players who were like not cohesive, who had no like real intention of being in the game, let alone like winning the game. It just made his job very easy. It was flogging a dead horse. At that point, it was very, very, very. It was the same thing happening over and over again. Like, was there anything from the United side that could have prevented? It was like watching one of our old Wenger games, like you guys said. When the opposition starts scoring and it goes beyond a point, like the team just gives up. If it goes 2-0, 3-0 up, the team just gives up. Then we have someone coming in the 80th minute who will come and because of his fresh legs and the opposition team not trying anything, would score a goal. So instead of being a 6-0 or a 5-0, we'll end up losing 5-1 or 6-2. That's pretty much the sort of situation it was in the last game. It was like one team gave up playing and the other team just made maximum use of it. So I really don't think it was a masterclass or anything. And I still think they're shit, like Bale or no Bale, it's not going to make any difference for him. You take Son out of the game, they're shit.
Yeah, that's true. So moving on from United and Liverpool misery, let's talk about our happiness. So Bob, I want you to go in detail about our new signing because you do follow Atletico Madrid. You've already told us about his qualities a little bit. Tell us more so that we get more excited and we go like on this frenzy when he starts playing.
Yeah, sure. So we earlier spoke about Gunnasauras and how Arsenal have actually lost a bit of a class.
Come on, not that again. Happy mode,
No,
happy mode.
I'm drawing comparisons to that because in how Atletico felt that they have been handled in Partey's case, they also felt. I mean, see, I have to look at from both the sides, right? Of course, it's playing the rules of the book, and Atletico need not be informed about how they are going to be, how Partey is going to be signed for Arsenal. But I think it's just a courtesy. Probably Arsenal went directly to the La Liga because even despite going in for all the negotiations, there was not even a percentage discount that I have to say in colloquial terms that Atletico offered to Arsenal. So you could say in the rules of the book they were fair in their terms that they just straight away went to the La Liga and then they actually paid out his release clause. Which when you look at it from the back, I think that seemed to be the plan all along. They were just, they knew if they could pay the release clause, he would be willing to come, and they just used a trump card at the last minute. Maybe
Don Edu.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Don anyone because I think signings doesn't necessarily reflect in success, as we all witnessed last season.
It's not about it,
grounded as always.
It's not about the signing. It's the way that like he did, the way that he was all Godfather mode on Atletico. I'll make him an offer that he can't refuse, kind of.
I would prefer to be old school in this case, Vijay. So I've been following the club and I've been looking at their dealings quite since a very long time. And to me, even though we got that done and we are all happy that we've got a very good midfielder, part of me doesn't still feel happy the way that we've been doing this business. So I'll just stick to that. So I think probably I'm not going to be saying that I'm 100% convinced that the way the business has been done.
That is
But
because
yeah,
you are an incognito Atletico fan. That's the reason. Arun, me, and Ellen are going all like happy about it, and you are like, no. Come on.
Even if it had happened to any other club, right? So I would have actually felt the same for them. I agree they didn't come for any negotiations. They kept mentioning the same.
Bob, sorry to interrupt you here, but keep all your feelings safe. We have a long season to go. You have a lot of feeling to do. So
So nah, okay. So coming back to his abilities, right? So we've got a very, very good midfielder, as like what Arun mentioned in the footnote there. So we've got someone who could be looked at as a, I wouldn't say Vieira or Gilberto yet, but he is in the same mold of one of them. Um, I really felt I really felt excited about such a midfielder recently in the past with Torreira. I mean, I was sad that things didn't work out with him because we had a real pitbull in Torreira. And I mean, if I look at myself as an Atletico fan, so I could say fair play. He's joined Atletico, and I'm sure he's going to be improving under Simeone. They've got a lot of Uruguay connection at the moment, so it's definitely good times for him as a loan. It as well helps us, keep his value intact. In fact, I would say at the end of the season, probably if in case he's getting the right amount of games, his value is definitely going to be improving, which is good for us. Maybe we can get a party type of an Torreira next season, which is good, no. So, but coming back to Partey, right? So if you compare Partey to the other midfielders which they have at Atletico, mainly the two other players that he mostly operate with Sal and Koke, um, he is actually better in most of the stats, and he is the fulcrum of their team. Like how much that I've actually mentioned in the past, he's very, very, very disciplined character. You would find, and he actually sticks to the basics of the game. He's very, very disciplined when it comes to the defense. If you look at his passes, he actually stands out. Maybe he doesn't have as much as a forward passing accuracy as much as when you compare to the other attacking midfielders, but he compensates that by with his defensive actions. So if you look at his pass accuracy, he's probably there up the top. If you compare to the top 5 midfielders in Europe, he's a complete package. And for once, right, after a long time, that I should say, whenever we actually draw upon a list of midfielders as transfer targets, I mean, this is right from Wenger times. We would go on to fourth or fifth in the list, and then end up buying the ninth or the 10th man from the list. That's how mostly it happens. For the first time, I don't remember in such a long time that we got the first man on our list. So really hats off to Edu and Arteta for convincing the board to pay out the release clause and then buying the player that we really want. And I feel it's a real statement of intent, because had we not signed anyone, we could have still hung up on. I mean, we could have still been there circling around the top 4 or top 6. Maybe around in the top 8, just like how we were last season. But um, Party gives us a reason for us to believe that we could still break into the top 4. And if we be disciplined, like just the way that we've been so far, over the course of 38 games, we could really be there at the top. He is such a midfielder who could make a difference in big games, like how integral Fernandinho has been. Most above all, he's actually a finished package. He's not someone who needs to come in and then sort of improve himself to be in the game and then go on to play the games. He's a package. He's at the right age. He's 27, so he's got a lot of good years ahead of him. We are getting a very good player in Partey, and I feel really happy that he's just going to be the I mean, I feel happy that he is playing under Arteta's system. Having, I mean, it's a fact that we've been following him for quite a long time, and Emery chose to go in for Pepe last year ahead of Partey. So I'm thankful for Emery, for not picking Partey, because his career would have been destroyed by now. so in all
Like how
ways, it
Torreira
worked
was
out.
destroyed.
Yeah, no,
Like how
I still feel Torreira was definitely mishandled by Emery. One player who would just be happy with Emery was Gondosi, who's as well gone with Hertha. So yeah, no, in all ways, Partey is definitely a much needed reinforcement. Although from what I mentioned, it would have been as well an icing on the cake if we had got our as well along, because we need really someone to be creative. Thomas, in the recent times, he's started scoring goals for Atletico, so we could expect to see goals here and there. But yeah, no, I think purely to the fact that he's a defensive midfielder, and his abilities live in the deep side of the midfield in front of the defense. So that's where he could be effective, and that's where you could get the best out of him.
But I have a couple questions on that. Like, he speaks Spanish, does he? Because he's been
Yes,
at the
he does.
Liga for
Yes.
He's been there with them since like, the time he was 20. So he should.
yeah. So he speaks
Unless you're
Spanish.
like an Aguero or Sanchez who refuses to learn a language, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
no, he actually left Ghana as a young boy, and then he was there registered in the Atletico Academy right from the age of 18. And wherever he's been on loan in Almeria and everywhere, he's actually just made on he's progressed or blossomed. That he's just upped his game. He was the heir apparent of Gabby, who's
Yeah.
actually the midfield maestro in Simeone's team, and go on to replace Gabby and then cement his place there is not an easy task, because Atletico, as you know, they are a well-drilled team. It's been coached by one of the most rigid coaches, and you can't really get past them. And having to come out of the academy, I would say you go on to do better things than what Rodri is doing with Man City at the moment. Yeah, but time is the only answer to it. We just have to be patient. I know the fans sometimes can be fickle, and they can start expecting lots of nonsense things out of him. But he's just another player who's come to another league, so you just have to give him the time, and he would be able to reward this with his performance there for us.
Just
Do
to
you, do you
add
do you
one
think that
thing
Partey
here.
is not going to take us to the title, so fans cannot have expectations like that? What do you mean, Bob?
Oh, come on.
You're just baiting him. Come on, Arun. Ellen, yeah, go ahead. You had a point.
No. Just to add one thing here, like to know the value of Partey, like one of my Real Madrid friend, he was like as happy as we, like the Arsenal fans, like when we got Partey. He was saying like against Atletico Madrid, whenever Real Madrid played, this guy is the guy who stops Real Madrid completely. So to see him out of that system, right? Like he was like really, really happy. So that kind of an impact, like, and again, Real Madrid started in a big game, which Bob touched upon also. Like he plays well in the big games. And Simeone, if you remember, like all the UCL defeats, when he says, right, he says like most of the time, like he would have missed Partey, and he would have said that in a statement also. Without Partey, this team is like really struggling. So that kind of a quality player we have got, like say, if you see like the world class like players in that position, he'll be one in the top 5, and like it's very rare we get such kind of players. So we should be really, really happy.
And one more thing, if I may add to this, is the fact that he doesn't get injured a lot. If you take his injury record, he doesn't get injured a lot.
That is good to hear.
Yeah, I was actually about to say touchwood. Yeah. I hope I don't jinx it this season, but he's normally not a player who gets injured a lot. And that, given our injury record, and especially, we've always had like guys made of glass in the midfield, and now we've actually got a rock. So hopefully he shouldn't get injured because of the physicality of the league. But yeah, that I find is a huge bonus with him.
So continuing with the signings, we have made quite a lot of signings this window, even if we don't recognize it. Like we have made Partey, which is obviously the most fanfare. Apart from that, we have also made Ceballos loan back. We have also made Willian signing. We have also made Gabriel. We have also made Mari and what's his name? Suarez permanent.
Suarez.
Yeah, Suarez permanent. And we also made a signing for our backup goalkeeper. This is a lot of signing. We always talk about this Kroenke out.
You
And
missed Auba extension.
yeah,
You missed Auba
Auba
extension,
and
which is
Saka
equivalent to a
extension.
signing.
Yeah, Auba and Saka extension.
Yeah.
We got two extensions.
Martinelli as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we have been always talking about this. Kroenke is not doing it. If you look at the past couple of seasons, we've always had signings. Like last year we had Pepe. We bought in like Lewis. We bought in Martinelli. For the past couple of seasons, we have from the Ozil season, we have been making good signings. But why is the Arsenal fan base so polarized about like our transfer? Arun, you had a point on this, right? Go ahead. Why do you think that the signings aren't enough, or
If,
the
if,
owners aren't doing enough?
if you're talking about the fans, I do agree. Our fans are probably like one of the most fickle group of fans. I really don't know if it is because of a huge chunk of our fans probably like joined us, especially the ones that are young now, joined us during the time when we were declining and properly becoming a banter club, if you know what I mean. From 2006, from the time when we actually finished that Champions League final, we've been in the title race. Maybe you could say twice. I think that 2007-8 season was one.
Yeah.
Leicester, I would not even call that a race. The title
No,
race.
we were not in the race. Like Leicester and Spurs were in the race, and then Spurs fell out, and then we finished second. I would rate that the other season where United took Van Persie from us. I think when Arteta and everyone joined, that season. I mean, that season we were closer. We were closer.
We were fourth that
the
season.
season
So 2008, 2009 season, that was the closest that we went to for the title until Eduardo's injury at Birmingham City. So
United finished 4 points above us, and Chelsea finished 2 points above us. We came third in the end in that race, and 2 wins would have made a huge difference. We didn't win anything. So to answer your point, I'll answer your question actually. We do make signings, like one of the things if you've noticed, we do make signings every season in, season out. We make signings, be it a panic day, a last minute buy, like getting 5 people for 50 million, or like a marquee signing, like what we did with Ozil, But if you always noticed, when we spend, we do not necessarily get the quality that we are supposed to get to take the league to the next level. It's always incomplete, if you notice. You get an Ozil, what do you give him? A Giroud to play with, what sort of nonsense is this, The same way you get Sanchez, you pair him with Ozil, still your striker up front. Who's your striker up front? Is Giroud. You play Ozil, you play him with the bad striker. It makes no sense. So spending another 20 million at that point would have got you a better striker than Giroud and maybe a better finish in the league, for better things. So these are the kind of mistakes, being stingy in the last one, penny pinching, that the club has always been known for. And when you continue doing it over a period of time, even if you're investing 40, 50 million, when a 20 extra could have taken you to the next level and you're not doing it, you stay with that 50 million. You're literally throwing that 50 million into the garbage because you're not completing your team. We've always had trouble with defense, but we've always bought offensive players. Like, I really don't understand the logic. Your team is not complete. And when we needed defensive players, we get players who are like not making it in the other leagues, or making it in the other leagues, but are not good enough. Like none of our defenders, if you notice, have been a signing. don't leave Lichtsteiner out either, We're talking about signings, and so many garbage signings come up in the most important of places where we've always needed reinforcements. I can tell you like 10 defenders who are shit, and we kept signing them over the last 10 years, starting with Andre Santos and ending with Lichtsteiner, So it is even David Luiz. Come on, like we signed him on a free, but we're still paying him wages. Is the guy really worth the wages? I really don't know, So that's the kind of signings that we are making, and that have made an already fickle and young fan base hungry for success, being bantered by the other fans, Like everywhere we go, we call Forsenal. Now we don't even have the name Forsenal because we're not even finishing in the top four anymore. So you have to think about the mentality of a group of youngsters who joined the club because of the glory days and were not there to experience even one. Like, don't give me things like we won the FA Cup 3 or 4 times. The FA Cup doesn't match winning a league or like winning a Europa League or if I may say a Champions League. We've never gone there. So those are the kind of expectations that people have from a club like Arsenal, which went a season invincible, shows that it's not a dud club. It's a club that was like one of the top clubs in the world. And from being there to being in a situation where we're struggling to like finish fourth or even sixth with the kind of buys that we have, given that an extra 10 or 20 million could have taken us to the next place, I think kind sort of justifies the fans' fickleness in a way, if you think about it. But still, like tracking players, flights, and seeing that they're going in the car, what fan drive it is. That's intense. That's a bit extra if you think about it. Like fans are extremely intense.
Yeah, when I mentioned that to my friends who don't follow football, they go like, "Are you guys crazy or what?" Like yesterday.
It's shocking if you think about it. So it's like a psychotic boyfriend going.
These fans need to be proper paparazzis because
Yes.
whatever that they do is worse than even what a paparazzi would actually go. So yeah, no, I think we are no different, or the fans are no different.
Arun, just like not to go against you, but like I have a question.
Yeah, go against him. Go against him. Go against him.
Completely opposite to what you said. See, again, like there is another thing also, because our fans expect that too. Like say they wanted a signing, even though like say, for example, we were trying Partey. Partey, if we hadn't got it, or say Auror, for example, we haven't got Auror. Is it necessary to sign another backup, or like say third or fourth in the list, or wait for one more year, sign Auror or somebody similar to Auror, like with the money that year? Because in the past we have signed Kim Kjellstrom, Park Chu-young, and like we didn't even play them. We signed them just to be like a backup, and we didn't even pay them. But that's what our fans demand. Like, what is your plan B?
The legend Dennis Suarez.
Yeah, Ellen, actually, your point is exactly what I'm trying to make. Because the thing is, the names that you took out, Kim Kjellstrom, Park Chu-young, or Dennis Suarez, these players all put together might have cost us 15 million or 20 million.
Lucas
right?
Perez as well.
Lucas Perez, yes. I think he himself cost us like 15 to 17 million. Now think about all this. About you're literally wasting 30 million on 5 players who played a total of 10 to 15 games for the club. And this is exactly my point. Why are you buying these 5 garbage players when you can get one decent player at 30 million who could actually make a difference for the club?
Like Xhaka?
Exactly, that I agree. That is why I said like I'm not going against you.
Xhaka, yeah, maybe Xhaka, Mustafi, we can name a few there. But yeah, even in that case, I mean, to tell you guys, like, I think a 30 million player at the same time that we had Giroud. Imagine we had a striker who was better, even a Vardy. I know Vardy like didn't want to come to us, but it shouldn't have been difficult for us to get a player of the same quality. And we needn't have stuck with Giroud for so long that we did. Okay, he's a fan, he's a nice guy, and all that.
No, not anymore.
No, I agree on that. No, Arun, I agree on that. Like the 40 like pound plus one, like 40k pound plus one for Suarez. Like that was a joke, like from our club. Maybe like I agree on that, but like see now, like what I'm saying is like not on that part. Like I agree perfectly with you. That is what I'm also saying. Spend like 70 million or 80 million, get the top guy. Like, but if you're not getting them right, do you need to sign the lower guy? Like say for example, if we hadn't signed Partey yesterday, right? The biggest concern that was happening with all the fans was like, if there's no Partey or Auror, where are your backups? Why didn't you sign those people? That was what the question that was going on all over social media. That is what I'm against that. Because like, see, for a club like us to go to the next level, right, we need the best. We cannot, or at least like somebody who can become a best sometime later, but not somebody who's like a stopgap for us. Because once that stopgap comes for 2-3 years, you will lose, like say, Auba down the line. And then you will sign a good midfielder and like it is not going to use. So it is better to wait a year and sign a big player next year with the extra money you have for that year and try to play with the players you have instead of signing a backup just to have some more number of people.
It's actually, Ellen, if you think about it, you have a valid point there, but if you think about it, it's pretty much a vicious cycle. We went to sign a player at that point of Partey or ours level at that point because we felt that they could take the team forward. But then, even if they were not there, we did have huge holes in the midfield. Huge holes that were too big for the shoes, like for the likes of Elneny to fill. So, which means that you really need a player there, even if it is not Party. You need a player there who can take you to the next level, even if he takes a few games to set the ground running. But the point there is that if we do miss out on a player like Party or our, and if we want to wait for him for another season, we will not be not getting those players and not getting any players at all would have resulted us in finishing lower than what we did last season, not qualifying even for the Europa League, which means that it would be more difficult for us to get those players, and it would be easier for the other teams who have intent and more money than us to get them. If you think about it, our situation, do you think next year or our will be available? Easily City or Juventus or one of these
Real
teams.
Madrid.
Yeah,
Real Madrid
one of
mostly.
these teams is definitely going to get them. So we would lose him. If you wait a season, strike when the iron is hot, you lose, you snooze, you lose. That's what's been happening in the transfer market all along. Like the Willian transfer, for example, Tottenham were almost there. Chelsea took him at the last minute, and he made a huge difference for them. Chelsea, if they had not got that player, I don't know if they would have had that, like the transition at that point. So it was not just about quality for us, it was also about quantity for us. And at that point, we needed someone who could shield the midfield. We lose Partey this season, we won't be able to get him next season, given how we play, where we finish, and the amount of money that we have. Same thing for our. So getting players was very important. And I'm really glad that we got this one. But missing out on players it's not justified at that point. I would prefer to get a replacement than wait another year when we wouldn't get anyone at all. Upamecano had the same thing happen. We were waiting, now he's going to be going to another club.
Bob,
I'd like to add one more point here to what Arun mentioned. So, Ellen, whatever that you are talking about could have worked probably 10, 15 years back, but it's not the same scenario anymore these days. And every club is pouncing upon every opportunity that they have. And especially when you look at Arsenal in the status of the top 10 clubs, which Forbes releases every year, we are not there in the top 10 at all, and there is no pull factor for us. There is no Champions League football. There is no glamorous tiki-taka that we used to play under Wenger. There is nothing really which can make a player pull from any club, any decent big club to Arsenal, So we are playing in the second tier European competition all along. There is nothing really that we can show as an identity for anyone to come in here and then buy into the project that we have. So we need to be a bit pragmatic, and we need to really be spending now, because as like what Arun mentioned, there is almost less than 5% chance that we could go back to our and say, yeah, now I'm really keen to come back to Arsenal and then play for them. That's possibly not going to happen now with the big club circling around him. And what actually stopped us, or what gave Arsenal such a long time to really go into it, is for the fact that the other clubs didn't have the resources or the money to invest in him and take him on for this year. But the scenario could be completely different next year. So we can partially wait, but we can't necessarily wait all the time. And especially, I think the fans got a bit impatient this year because they felt they probably feel that we've got a fair chance than most other teams, especially now that we've got a very decent enough coach who knows to organize the team and his players better. So it's almost a time like it's now or never. So going back again to one of the points which Arun mentioned, there was the last time when we were going in for the title, 2008, 2009. Had we got an extra striker in place of Eduardo back then, we would have really been on the title, and the history would have been much more different than what it is at the moment. So one signing definitely does make a difference, and how they reward you is by playing through the games that you want them to. Van Persie went from here to United. He was just a shining light for one season, but that was enough for them to get the title that they wanted, and it was
exactly my point, because when you think about it, apart from him, the rest of the United team was pure shit at that point.
Yeah, no, of course. And we all saw that once after Alex left. So No, I think he carried on to the team, and then he actually got the form that he took from Arsenal. So fair play to them. And 25 million or 30 million, whatever that they spent back then, doesn't really
They got
matter
it.
because it helped them
They
win
got
the
the title.
title that year. And that's what counts towards a fan base. It helps in increasing more fans and more merchandise, more noodle sales and whatever that you can think of. So yeah, no, I think that's what counts in football much these days. Much to the situations which were different when probably we started watching football. So we just have to get adapted to the change, and then I mean, I wouldn't really say stoop low and start putting abusive insults to the personal handling it, like Edu or Arteta or whoever. That is pretty wrong. But yeah, I think we have to be really very quick when it comes to all these things. I was surprised that Chelsea didn't go for Partey. Maybe there could have been a hidden plan that they didn't really want any midfield enforcement. Because had they wanted him, I mean, it was quite open that he had a 45 million pound.
Lampard will come and play for them, so no problem.
Sorry, what?
Lampard will come and play for them, so no problem.
Oh yeah. That could as well quite happen. He's already playing for them. If you look at the sidelines, the dance moves that he's been putting on, it's quite nice.
And he has also passed his skills to his teammates. If you see when they got penalty, right? Abraham was fighting with Jorginho, like even though Jorginho is the number one penalty taker, like he was fighting with it, which Lampard used to do with Drogba and others. So it is like continuing after he came into the team. So my question, no, my concern was right. Like, say, I'm not saying like the previous years where we have got backups, but like this year, if you say right, like say, I'll say with an example, okay? Arsenal, right? The finance structure works on like the match day revenues, and it's like nearly 4 or 5 months now. Like there is no match day revenue at all. That has a big impact, and like it is not only for us; it is for all the other clubs. And if you see even Chelsea, right, whom we consider as good at transfer market, they were not able to sell many of the players. They normally send many players to loan and everything. They have a huge list of people like whom are like in the club and they're just going to pay them. So that kind of market situation is that. Like, and even if you think like Torreira, even though Atletico Madrid wanted him, everything was sorted out. They were waiting like for Herrera's sale to happen. Since we got Partey, thing opened up and like he went there now. So that was the situation we are having. Like, so even though some of the targets we might be able to ready to pay money or anything, they cannot sell them until they get a replacement. It was more like a cycle this time, and like lot of teams were dependent on other teams selling or buying. And like say, even if you take Socrates for example, right? That got stopped like when Koulibaly sale didn't happen for City, and like they got Ruben Dias. Like it was like a cycle, and like this year it was more difficult. My thing was mainly based on this. Like say, people are comparing and saying like Aston Villa like signed this many players, but what we don't forget is like if you are in Championship and if you are in Premier League, there's a big difference of 170 million. Like the playoff they play, right? The final match at Wembley, like whoever wins gets 170 million bonus as part of TV revenue. So Aston Villa was like really struggling last year to getting relegated. So in that scenario, right, like they definitely want to spend money so that they get the money. Even if they say spend 100 million, they still get 70 million as profit if they stay here. Similarly, right, like Leeds, like they have come here like after a lot of struggle, and they want to stay in this league to get that extra money. And they were spending because of that. If you see, those kind of clubs are the ones that were spending more. Chelsea, if you take, right, they were getting a lot of good players, but if you have to remember that they had like 2 years of transfer ban or 1.5 years of transfer ban, and they had to like use those money, like whichever they kept at that time, like they had a huge set of money and they were splashing it on that, along with the sale of like what was like 165 million which they got. Like so, that is like the market we are in, and like fans expecting us to sign somebody, right? Like it's not. I felt like it was like because like if you see the last few years, the club is taking some steps to get the players. It was not like say 5 years or 6 years before where like the club was like as you rightly said at the beginning, we will have a top 10 list. We will bid for the 5th person, but we'll sign the 9th person. It is not like that. We are trying our best to get somebody, and they've got the coach also with that vision. So maybe this is the time we should support the club too. Like And if you see like Darren's tweet today, like it said like Koranke made sure that we got the funds at the last moment for Partey. That was a tweet that was coming, and he is from a Arsenal shareholder who normally gets things wrong. Like, so that means like something is happening from the ownership side also. Maybe it might be they might have lost a lot of revenue and they wanted to come to top four to get the revenue back. Maybe it's a business reason why Stan is investing something more. But like last few years, right? Like if you take Pepe signing or like last year's like the total amount we have spent, we are spending money. Maybe we might not have spent on a quality players, but we are spending money. Like say, so Mustafi was like for 35 million. Like we got Zaka for around the same amount. Like so, we are spending huge money. It's not like we are not spending in the if you take the last 3-4 years.
No,
Okay.
see, I think what makes the difference, I'll just add one more point before we conclude this thing. At the end of the day, fans need to realize that they are supporting the club, not the players there. So anyone who comes out of the tunnels, or the 11 players who come out of the tunnel for any game, no matter what, we got to be standing behind them and we got to support them wholeheartedly. That's definitely should be there. I mean, as much as the fact that I don't like the way Ozil is behaving with the club, if he turns up for a game, I would definitely go on to support him because he is actually representing the club that I support. That's pretty much it, you know. So there's huge lot of horror in the transfer window, and I think I don't think we should need to be bothered about any of this.
Okay, that's a really good finishing statement. Thanks everyone for joining in today, and it's as always, it's been a pleasure. And that is the end of the pod. For more Arsenal-related content, please like, subscribe, and share to the Away Gunners podcast. See you next week.